Cold water dripped through the bridge planks onto Clara May's shoulders as she pressed deeper into the concrete shadows. Her last dollar had bought bread 3 days ago. Her stomach cramped with emptiness, but the rain made everything worse. October rain that promised winter was coming whether she had shelter or not. Small footsteps splashed through puddles above her head. 2 sets, moving slow and deliberate. Clara May held her breath, hoping whoever was would pass by without looking down into her hiding place. "Ma'am!" A child's voice called from the bridge. "We can see you down there." Clara May closed her eyes. "Go away. We're not going to hurt you. Please just leave me alone." 2 girls appeared at the edge of the bridge, maybe 10 years old, identical in every way. Blonde hair plastered to their heads by rain. Blue dresses that had seen better days, but still looked cleaner than Clara May's torn coat. "You're Mrs. Peterson," one twin said. "How do you know my name?" "We asked around town. People said your husband died last spring. Said the bank took your house," the second twin added. "Said you've been living rough for months." Clara May pulled her coat tighter. "What do you want?" The twins looked at each other, some silent communication passing between them. The first one spoke. "We need to ask you something." "I don't have any money." "We don't want money." "Then what?" "We want you to marry our father." Clara May stared at them, certain she had misheard. "What did you say?" "Our father needs a wife," the second twin said. "You need a home." "Are you insane?" "No, ma'am. I don't even know your father." "His name is Jacob Whitmore," the first twin said. "He owns the largest ranch in the county." "Then why does he need me to find him a wife?" The twins exchanged another look. "Because his other wives died." Something cold settled in Clara May's stomach that had nothing to do with hunger. "Died how?" "Just died." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer we can give." Rain drummed harder against the bridge above. Clara May wiped water from her eyes, studying the 2 girls who stood perfectly still despite being soaked to the skin. "How many wives has your father had?" 3. "And they all died?" "Yes, ma'am." "How old are you girls?" 10. "Where's your mother?" "Dead." "How long ago?" "Since we were born." Clara May felt pieces of a horrible puzzle clicking together in her mind. "Your father's wives. Did they die in accidents?" "Does it matter?" "It matters to me." The second twin stepped closer to the bridge edge. "Mrs. Peterson, when was the last time you ate?" Clara May's stomach answered with a loud growl. She pressed her hand against it, embarrassed. "When was the last time you slept in a real bed?" "I can't remember." "When was the last time you felt warm?" Clara May looked down at her hands, blue with cold, shaking despite her efforts to hold them still. "What exactly are you asking me?" "Marry our father," the first twin said. "Live in our house. Have food and clothes and a bed. In exchange for what?" "Being his wife." "And if I say no?" "Then you freeze to death under this bridge before Christmas." The truth of it hit Clara May like ice water. She had maybe 6 weeks before the first hard freeze. No money, no family, no prospects. The church ladies had stopped bringing her food when she refused to pray for her husband's soul. The town sheriff had told her to move along twice already. "Why me?" she asked. "Because you're desperate enough to say yes. And because you're not from here," the second twin added. "People won't ask questions if you disappear." "Disappear?" "We didn't say you would disappear. But you didn't say I wouldn't." The twins stood silent in the rain, water running off their faces like tears. Clara May realized they were as trapped as she was, just in a different kind of cage. "What are your names?" "Emma," said the first. "Sarah," said the second. "Emma and Sarah, if I agree to this, what happens to you girls?" "We get to keep living in our house." "Instead of what?" "The county orphanage." Clara May understood now. 2 children desperate to avoid being separated, willing to trade a stranger's life for their security. She should be horrified, should tell them to find someone else, should crawl deeper under the bridge and wait for winter to solve all her problems. Instead, she said, "When do I meet your father?" "Now," Emma said. "If you want," Sarah added. He's expecting us back before dark. Clara May looked at the gray sky, at the rain that showed no signs of stopping, at her own hands that couldn't stop shaking from cold and hunger. Will he really marry me? If you say yes. Just like that. He's not picky anymore. What happened to the other wives? They said yes too. Clara May pulled herself up from under the bridge, water streaming from her ragged clothes. The twins waited patiently as she gathered her few possessions. A blanket that smelled of mildew, a tin cup with a dent, a photograph of her dead husband that was too water-damaged to make out his face anymore. Are you sure about this? She asked. Are you? Clara May looked back at the concrete space that had been her home for 2 weeks. Cold, wet, offering nothing but slow death. Then she looked at the twins, who watched her with eyes too old for their faces. Lead the way. They walked through rain and mud toward whatever waited at the Whitmore Ranch. Clara May caught glimpses of a figure in an upstairs window as they approached the house, watching their progress like a spider watches flies. But she was too cold and hungry to care about spiders anymore. The farmhouse door swung open before they reached the porch. No one stood behind it. Clara May hesitated, water dripping from her clothes onto weathered wooden steps. It's all right, Emma said. Papa never comes downstairs anymore. Where is he? His room, Sarah replied. 3rd floor. They stepped inside. The house felt too quiet, like a hell breath. Furniture sat covered in dust sheets. Family photographs lined the mantelpiece, but someone had turned them face down. How long has your father been upstairs? Since wife number 3 died, Emma said. 2 months ago, Sarah added. Clara May looked around the front room. Toys scattered across the floor. Dishes stacked unwashed on a side table. The smell of children trying to take care of themselves. Who's been feeding you? We feed ourselves. Cook for ourselves. Clean for ourselves. 10-year-olds can't live alone. We're not alone, Emma said. Papa's here. Just not with us, Sarah finished. A sound drifted down from upstairs. Muffled voices, like a conversation through thick walls. Clara May tilted her head, listening. Is someone else here? The twins shared one of their looks. Just Papa. Who's he talking to? His wives. I thought you said they were dead. They are. The voices upstairs grew clearer. A man's voice, pleading and desperate. Then silence. Then the man again, as if responding to someone who wasn't there. He talks to them all day, Emma said. All night, too, Sarah added. Sometimes he screams. Clara May felt coldness that had nothing to do with her wet clothes. Show me where I'll be staying. Follow us. The twins led her up a narrow staircase to the 2nd floor. They passed several closed doors before stopping at one painted white with small flowers around the frame. This was wife number 2's room, Emma said. Margaret, Sarah added. She liked flowers. Inside, the room looked untouched by time. Dresses hung in the wardrobe, still smelling of lavender. A brush and mirror sat on the vanity. Blonde hair still caught in the bristles. Letters tied with ribbon filled a small wooden box. She died 6 months after marrying Papa, Emma explained. How? Something came for her in the night. Clara May touched one of the dresses. Fine blue silk that would have cost more than her husband made in a year. What kind of something? We don't know. We just hear screaming. Then silence. Then Papa crying. Clara May opened the wooden box, unfolded one of the letters. The handwriting was shaky, frightened. My dear sister, something is wrong in this house. I feel watched constantly. Jacob speaks to women who aren't there. The children stare at me like they're waiting for something terrible to happen. Margaret wrote to her sister. Emma said, reading over Clara May's shoulder. Sister never wrote back. Never came to visit. Never asked questions when Margaret died. Clara May refolded the letter, her hands trembling slightly. What happened to wife number 1? Victoria, Sarah said. She's down the hall. They walked to another bedroom, this one decorated in deep reds and gold. Jewelry lay scattered across the dresser, like someone had been interrupted while trying it on. A wedding dress hung in the corner, yellowed with age. Victoria lasted 8 months, Emma explained. She tried to leave, Sarah added. Packed her things one night. Something stopped her. Found her at the bottom of the stairs in the morning. Broken neck. Clara made back toward the door. And wife number 3? Ruth. She's across the hall. The third room felt different. Colder. More recent. Ruth's belongings were still scattered, as if she'd left suddenly. Half-finished knitting sat in a chair. A book lay open on the nightstand, bookmarks saving her place for a reading that would never come. Ruth only lasted 3 weeks, Emma said. She heard the voices, too. Started talking back to them. That made Papa angry. Made something else angry, too. The voices from the 3rd floor grew louder. Jacob's voice, desperate and broken, carrying down to the floorboards. I'm sorry, Victoria. I'm so sorry, Margaret. Please, Ruth, I didn't mean for this to happen. Then silence. Then sobbing. Clara May looked at the twins, understanding dawning cold and terrible. You didn't bring me here to marry your father. No, ma'am. You brought me here to save yourselves. Yes, ma'am. From what? Emma and Sarah looked at each other, fear flickering across their identical faces. From whatever killed our mama, Emma whispered, and all the wives who tried to replace her. It doesn't like Papa having other women, but it likes having someone to hunt. Clara May sank onto Ruth's bed, surrounded by the belongings of 3 dead women. The house creaked around them, settling into evening shadows. Upstairs, Jacob continued his conversations with ghosts. What happens if I leave? You can try, Sarah said, but won't let you get far, Emma added. Victoria made it to the front gate. Margaret reached the road. Ruth got all the way to town. But they all came back. Dead. Clara May looked at the children who had traded her life for their protection, who lived in a house haunted by their own mother's jealous rage. What makes you think I'll survive longer than the others? Maybe you won't, Emma said. But maybe you will, Sarah added. Maybe you're stronger. Maybe you're smarter. Maybe you're desperate enough to fight back. Outside, full darkness settled over the farmhouse. The voices from upstairs stopped abruptly, leaving only silence and the sound of rain against windows. Clara May understood now why the twins watched her with those 2 old eyes. They weren't looking for a mother. They were looking for a survivor. Midnight brought more than darkness to the Whitmore house. Clara May woke to the sound of footsteps in the hallway, slow and deliberate, like someone searching room by room. She sat up in Margaret's bed, surrounded by the dead woman's belongings, listening to whatever moved through the house. The footsteps stopped outside her door. The handle turned slowly, metal creaking against metal. Clara May held her breath as the door swung open to reveal nothing but empty hallway. But the temperature dropped 20 degrees in seconds, her breath visible in sudden impossible cold. Get out. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, whisper thin but filled with rage. Get out of my house. Clara May pulled the blanket around her shoulders, teeth chattering. Who are you? I am the mother of those children. I am the wife who belongs here. You're dead. Death doesn't end love. Death doesn't end protection. The cold intensified. Frost formed on the windows, on the mirror, on Margaret's hairbrush. Clara May could see her breath, but couldn't see the woman speaking. I didn't come here to replace you. Every woman who enters this house tries to replace me. What about your children? Emma and Sarah need someone to care for them. They have me. They're 10 years old. They can't live on ghost stories. A sound like wind through empty rooms filled the bedroom. The temperature dropped even further. Ice crystals formed on Clara May's eyelashes. Jacob was mine first. This house was mine first. Those children are mine forever. Then why are you killing the women he marries? To protect what's mine. Clara May stood up despite the cold, despite the fear crawling up her spine like spiders. You're not protecting anything. You're destroying it. Lies. Your husband sits in his room talking to dead women because he's too broken to live with the living ones. Good. Your children brought me here because they're desperate and afraid. They brought you here to die. The voice grew closer, more solid, like someone breathing directly into Clara May's ear. But when she turned, nothing was there except cold air and rage made manifest. Look at what you've done to this family. I gave them everything. You gave them death and fear and isolation. I gave them love. Love doesn't kill innocent women. Those women weren't innocent. They wanted to steal my life. Clara May walked the window, looking out at the dark farmland beyond. In the glass reflection, she could almost see a shape behind her. Tall, thin, wearing a white nightgown stained with blood. What's your name? Elizabeth. Elizabeth, you died giving birth to Emma and Sarah. I died protecting them. You died bringing them into the world. That's not the same thing. The cold began to recede slightly, as if the ghost was considering her words. Clara May pressed her advantage. They're growing up in a house haunted by their mother's anger. Is that what you wanted for them? I wanted to raise them myself. But you can't. You're dead. I can watch over them. By terrorizing anyone who tries to help them, silence stretched through the room like hell breath. Clara May could feel Elizabeth's presence, confused and desperate, clinging to children she could never truly touch. They need someone alive, Clara May said gently. Someone who can cook their meals and mend their clothes and hold them when they cry. I held them first. And that will always matter. That will always be true. You want to replace me? No. I want to help them grow up without being afraid of their own mother. The ghost materialized slowly, translucent but clearly visible. Young woman, maybe 25, beautiful despite the blood staining her white gown. Her eyes held the wild desperation of someone who had died too soon, left too much unfinished. You'll leave, Elizabeth said. They all leave eventually. Maybe, but maybe I won't. Why should I trust you? Because I'm not here to be Jacob's wife. I'm here to be Emma and Sarah's guardian. Elizabeth drifted closer, studying Clara May's face with eyes that seemed to see straight through to her soul. What about Jacob? Jacob is broken. He needs to grieve properly, then heal properly, then maybe find love properly. With you? With someone who isn't afraid of ghosts. Elizabeth laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a storm. Everyone is afraid of ghosts. I'm more afraid of 10-year-old girls trying to raise themselves. The temperature in the room began to warm. Ice melted from the windows, running down glass like tears. Elizabeth's form became more solid, more peaceful. You would care for them? Yes. Protect them? Yes. Love them? Clara May thought of Emma and Sarah, two children desperate enough to bargain with a stranger's life for their own safety. Yes. Even though they're not yours? Family isn't always about blood. Elizabeth moved to the window, looking out at the land she would never walk again. I was so angry for so long. Angry at dying, angry at leaving them, angry at Jacob for trying to replace me. Anger is easier than grief, but grief is easier than letting go. Maybe you don't have to let go completely. Maybe you just have to let them grow. Elizabeth turned back to Clara May, and for the first time, she smiled. You're braver than the others. I'm more desperate than the others. That too. The ghost began to fade, becoming transparent again, but the rage was gone from her eyes. Only sadness remained and love and the terrible weight of a mother's concern. Take care of my girls, Elizabeth whispered. I will. Tell Jacob I forgive him. Tell him yourself. Then leave him in peace. Elizabeth nodded, her form dissolving like morning mist. The cold left the room completely, replaced by warmth and the promise of sunrise through clean windows. Clara May sank back onto Margaret's bed, exhausted but no longer afraid. Somewhere in the house, Jacob stopped talking to his dead wives. Somewhere in their room, Emma and Sarah slept peacefully for the first time in months. The curse was broken. The family could finally heal.